My husband has a new stepmom, and she's pretty young, only 10 years older than me. Well, that's not the dilemma. I'm pregnant, and so is she. Now, in a family dinner, she announces that she doesn't believe the baby actually belongs to my significant other, aka her new son. Can you imagine the drama that unfolds when I demand, fine, how about we just take a DNA test? And besides, if I have to take a DNA test, you do too. Fair warning, this is going to be long. I just really wanted to share this with someone who isn't always caught up in a mess with me. There's a lot of background, but I promise it's worth it. My husband, Jay, and I just got back from our honeymoon a couple of weeks ago. This wedding has been a long time in the making. We've been together since high school, but friends all our lives. Since we didn't do anything big for the ceremony, we decided to go all out for the honeymoon. I'm talking a month and a half in all our favorite spots across the world. The best hotels, the best food, you name it, and we had it. I'm not saying any of this to brag. I just wanted to give you as accurate of a picture as possible. Considering we were gone for such a long time, Jay's father, my father-in-law, wanted to have a welcome back dinner to catch up. He's a total sweetheart, and both Jay and I adore him. So Jay accepted without running it by me first. Usually this would not be a problem. We get along great and have ever since I've known him, which is pretty much my whole life, considering our families used to live next door to each other. We moved closer to my mom's family after my dad passed, but since I stayed in the same school, Jay's family has been a big part of my life. Jay's stepmother is a different story, though. Jay's mom passed away when we were in our junior year of college, and she and father-in-law have been separated for a while by then. But it still crushed both him and Jay to lose her. I think his heartbreak is why he moved on quickly and remarried, basically by the end of that year. Father-in-law married Jay's stepmother, whom I'll be calling mother-in-law for simplicity's sake. The year Jay and I graduated from college, it was a little weird that she was only 10 years older than us. And when they had their twins 3 years ago, I was a little concerned about father-in-law being too old to have young children. But I didn't really want to judge someone who's particularly a second father to me, especially since Jay was just happy that his father seemed happy. Mother-in-law, on the other hand, had no trouble judging. From the get-go, she was super competitive whenever it came to anything to do with me. If Jay bought me a necklace, she had father-in-law buy her a more expensive one. If somebody mentioned that I made a good apple pie, she would just happen to make one the next day. She even announced her pregnancy at a dinner celebrating my promotion. I don't know if she's jealous of my relationship with father-in-law or what, which aside from being super gross implications, is just plain unwarranted. But she's been awful to me since we met. I've never brought it up with my father-in-law because I don't want to cause problems in his marriage. But whenever I've said anything to Jay, he just brushes it off and says stuff like I'm reading too much into stuff. When I brought up the pregnancy announcement, his only defense was that father-in-law was hosting the dinner, so technically she was allowed to announce whatever the heck she wanted in her own home. It's been a huge point of contention between us. When we decided to get married, I made it a point that he would have to be on my side from this point on. I get that she was his stepmother, but I was going to be his wife. He agreed, and that was that. So we get married, and I could not be happier. When Jay told me that he'd accepted father-in-law's invitation for dinner, I was a bit hesitant, to say the least. We had just gotten back from the happiest weeks of our lives, and I did not want mother-in-law to ruin that. Jay convinced me by saying that it would be the perfect time to announce my pregnancy. We found out that I was pregnant about 6 weeks before we got married, and we decided not to tell anyone just yet, aside from my mom, who was with me when I did the test. And since we were planning on getting married eventually anyway, we decided to elope. Our families were shocked, but ultimately, my mom and Jay's dad were happy for us, especially considering we've been together for such a long time. Father-in-law paid for our honeymoon as a wedding present, which his travel agent handled completely. It was a dream, I could not imagine how happy he would be when we announced that I was pregnant with his first grandchild. I agreed to go, but told Jay that if mother-in-law tried to pull anything, I would not be tolerating it. Jay agreed and promised to have my back, no matter what. Father-in-law loves hosting dinners in his home. We chose an intimate setting to announce the pregnancy. Things seemed fine when we arrived, and father-in-law warmly hugged both of us. Even though mother-in-law only hugged Jay, we exchanged polite smiles, and I thought that was the end of it. We chatted in the sitting room for a while before moving to the dining room for dinner, where father-in-law served us each a glass of wine. Thinking it was a good time, I politely declined the wine, stating that we wouldn't be having any drinks for the upcoming months. It took father-in-law a moment to catch on, but Jay burst out, "Dad, we're pregnant." This finally got a reaction out of him, and he was overjoyed. Putting down the wine, he gave me a hug, asking when we found out and if we knew the gender yet. Mother-in-law, however, remained completely silent during father-in-law's congratulations and only spoke up when things calmed down, suggesting we sit down to eat. It wasn't her I wanted to share the news with anyway. As we sat down to eat, father-in-law spent most of the dinner asking us questions about the honeymoon and the pregnancy. He and Jay excitedly discussed fatherhood and the kind of father Jay would be. It was heartwarming to see my husband so excited about our growing family. At that moment, I knew I had picked the right man to start a family with. Mother-in-law kept interjecting into their talk, mainly discussing what the twins were like when they were newborns and how Jay's dad had reacted when they were born. Essentially, she redirected the attention back to herself and her kids. When I mentioned the crib we were considering buying for the nursery, she suggested we wait, stating we didn't know where we would be once the baby's born. Confused, I pressed her, and she insinuated that Jay and I might not be together when the baby is born. At this point, I was annoyed and getting angry. I asked her why she thought that, and she brought up our history of breaking up and getting back together. I defended our relationship, stating that every couple has ups and downs, and we're married adults, not emotional teenagers. My voice may have been raised, but considering the accusations, I think it was reasonable. Father-in-law tried to calm her down, but she was determined to say her piece. I told Jay I wanted to go home, and before he could stand up, she insisted he get a paternity test before buying the crib. Father-in-law immediately told her to shut up, and Jay walked me out, fuming on the entire car ride home. I was upset not only at mother-in-law, but also at Jay, who had promised to have my back. He sat silently while his stepmother tore me apart. He assured me he would handle it and let mother-in-law know her behavior wasn't okay, but I'll believe it when I see it. Crushed by the hurtful words from someone important to my husband and father-in-law, I've only confided in my best friend, who thinks mother-in-law may be jealous of the relationship I have with Jay and father-in-law. I hope this isn't a sign of how my pregnancy will go, and if anyone has had similar experiences, please share below. More than anything, I'm just upset that what was supposed to be a happy moment got ruined by my mother-in-law. Top comments from the original post express similar sentiments. Comment number 1 states that this isn't just a mother-in-law problem, it's a husband problem. The commenter points out that the husband should have stood up for me the moment the mother-in-law opened her mouth, especially after promising to have my back. There's concern about whether this is a recurring issue and if the husband will continue to remain silent in the face of such situations. The commenter suggests reaching out to a support system and preparing for a potential future of defending myself and my child if the husband doesn't step up. Comment number 2 takes a different perspective, suggesting that the marriage might have happened solely because of the pregnancy, not mature love. The commenter speculates about the possibility that the baby isn't the husband's, hence the mother-in-law's demand for a paternity test. There's an implication that the mother-in-law might know something that the father-in-law and stepson don't. The commenter advises me to admit any jealousy towards the mother-in-law, projecting that she married a stable family man while I was strung along for 10 years with an on-and-off-again boyfriend. In the first update, I acknowledge the husband's failure to defend me adequately and our subsequent discussion about the need for him to speak up sooner in the future. There's mention of the impossibility of limiting contact with the in-laws due to Jay's work with his father, who runs several restaurants. The family's closeness is highlighted, and the difficulty of implementing low or no contact during pregnancy is explained. The update concludes with relief that an upcoming family event won't involve seeing the mother-in-law. Moving to the actual update, a dinner meeting is arranged with the father-in-law and mother-in-law to sort things out. Despite my preference for a neutral location, the father-in-law insists on hosting again. The dinner doesn't even begin before Jay addresses the issue, expressing regret for not saying anything the last time. He firmly informs his stepmother that her suggestion was ridiculous and unwarranted, emphasizing his trust in my loyalty. Father-in-law apologizes for letting the situation persist. When the mother-in-law attempts to apologize, I request that she waits until I've spoken. I acknowledge my raised voice, but explain that it was warranted given the implications of her statement. I agree to a paternity test, but only if she undergoes one as well, pointing out the inconsistency in her questioning the parentage of my unborn child, while never questioning her own children's paternity. When I tell you that I've never witnessed a grown woman losing her composure as loudly as she did, you'd be genuinely shocked by the volume she reached. She immediately tried to throw herself at me across the coffee table, her words becoming completely unintelligible by that point. I won't repeat the things she said to me, but Jay and I removed ourselves from the situation right away. It's been a day since we went over, and Jay has been on the phone with his father almost continuously since the twins have been with Jay's aunt since yesterday afternoon. I think they'll remain there until father-in-law can get my mother-in-law to calm down. This is definitely not over yet, but I hope everything calms down soon for the sake of the children. Update number 2. Before I go on with the update, I want to thank everyone who read and responded to my initial post and update. They were long, venting out years of built-up stress into these extensive texts. I'm grateful that people took the time to reply with their experiences. Despite the unfortunate commonality of similar stories, it's hopeful to hear about situations that have improved. I've received mixed responses about agreeing to the paternity test only if she did it too, which I expected. Honestly, it's the only solution that seemed moderately fair to me. Anyways, on to the meat of the update. I did end up going through with the test. As insulting as it was, I knew that if I didn't, there would always be that lingering shred of doubt. And that's not the family I want to bring my child into. I chose a doctor who runs his own practice, a friend of mine. He collected the samples, and the results would be available in a few days. Shockingly, the child is my husband's. Jay wasn't surprised when I told him, but I could sense some tension released from his conscience. Considering the emotional turmoil my mother-in-law put me through, I didn't stop there. I didn't do anything drastic. Nobody was harmed. My condition for going through with the test was that mother-in-law gets her own children checked, and I intended to go through with that regardless of her participation. The twins were with Jay's aunt, and I managed to get Jay's cousin to get a cheek swab of each of them, just to bring to my doctor friend. We ran the twins against Jay, which served the same purpose. The emotion I felt when it came back that the twins were not related to Jay was mixed. On one hand, I was vindicated that mother-in-law had been projecting, but on the other hand, the lives of these innocent children were about to be uprooted because their mother had to butt into other people's business. Currently, the only person aware of these results is Jay. We're taking some time to decide on the next step, as we don't want to harm the twins, regardless of whether they're related to Jay. If anything comes of it, I'll post an update, but for now, we just want to do what's best for our family. Update number 3. I'm gutted, absolutely gutted, and have no idea what to do. I feel completely blindsided and betrayed by the man who promised me forever and is now siding with a woman who verbally abused me in his home. Father-in-law and mother-in-law called us over yesterday afternoon. I had hoped that mother-in-law had finally come to her senses and was ready to apologize for everything she said to me. Unfortunately, I could not have been further from the truth. Upon arriving at the house, I already knew that something was off. Father-in-law usually greets us at the door with a warm hug and smile, but this time, he just held the door open silently and then went to sit beside mother-in-law in the dining room. No tea and snacks in the sitting room, no quick catch-up, Nothing. We followed and sat down across from them. Father-in-law passed us a stack of papers and asked us if we knew that they were the results of the paternity test that my friend had performed for my child and the twins. I was completely caught off guard, as there was no way that father-in-law and mother-in-law should have access to those documents, as neither Jay nor I had contacted them about it. Jay was just as confused as I was, but father-in-law did not give us time to process anything before passing us another set of papers, both regarding the twins' parentage. It stated that Jay was the half-brother of both twins, which clearly contradicted the results on the first set of papers. Father-in-law explained that they had conducted a DNA test at a local clinic, saying that he had recently run a DNA test for the twins at the request of a relative. He felt obligated as a doctor to inform the parents of the situation. My friend had contacted father-in-law to tell him about the paternity test that I had him perform on the twins. But he didn't stop there. Father-in-law revealed that my friend sent over the results along with edited documents that stated the twins had no relation to Jay. My friend told him that I requested the documents to be edited. Jay asked me if this was true, but I was so caught off guard by the betrayal of my friend that I just froze. Unfortunately, father-in-law took this as an invitation to keep speaking. This is a man I've looked up to for most of my life, whom I held as a father figure after the death of my own father, and he had no remorse in telling my husband, his own son, that my friend had edited the results of my own paternity test. He had absolutely no empathy for the fact that I just wanted to give my child the best possible father it could have. I wanted Jay to be the father. I just don't see what father-in-law gains from tearing down everything that I was trying to build for my family. The whole time, mother-in-law just sat there with this stupid, smug look on her face, not saying a word. It was her fault any of this was happening in the first place, and she just sat there and smiled at me as though I was at fault for wanting to ensure that my children had a stable life with a reliable father. Jay was absolutely livid. I've never seen the man I love so angry, let alone directed at me. At first, I hoped that I could reason with him, but when it became crystal clear that he was unwilling to listen to me, I called my mother to come pick me up. I've been with her for the last few days, and Jay has not tried to contact me. Father-in-law and mother-in-law have not picked up any of my calls or responded to any of my text messages. My friend, the doctor who caused this whole mess, has completely ghosted me on everything. I plan to go down to his practice to confront him soon, but I just want to fix things with Jay first. I simply don't know what to do. I don't know how my life went from the perfect honeymoon and designing my dream nursery to this. Update number 4. For those of you tearing me apart in the comments section, you'll be happy to hear that Jay and I are separated. He told me that he's looking into an annulment. Father-in-law had the audacity to contact my mother about everything that happened, and even she's not happy with me right now. I'm completely isolated and alone, and the only person still on my side is my best friend, who has supported me through this whole mess without judgment. I really tried to remove myself from the situation and take the high road, but considering father-in-law's lack of tact and his willingness to interfere with my family, I just decided that I would fight fire with fire. I can't be bothered with people like the doctor who went behind my back to contact Jay's family. There are no records of our interactions, and pursuing that angle would be an all-around pointless matter for me. However, I mentioned in a previous update that father-in-law runs a few restaurants in my city. The way that he was able to grow his business so quickly was by employing cheap immigrant workers. Of course, father-in-law was more than willing to turn a blind eye if they happened to be undocumented, provided they did good work. Unfortunately for father-in-law, a good Samaritan alerted the relevant authorities to this fact, and considering, I have not been in contact with either my husband or his family since the ambush at dinner. I only know what little my mother tells me about it. From what I've heard, father-in-law has been fined a few thousand, and it's possible that his business license will be suspended. This would impact not only his livelihood and approaching retirement, but also Jay, quite a few other members of the extended family who were involved in the business. While it pains me to see a family that I held so dear for so long go through such a difficult time, I can't help but feel that this is karma. Father-in-law could not keep his wife out of my family's business, and now his family business is under fire. I wish I knew how Jay felt about all this. If we had not been separated, I would be doing my best to support him during this trying time for both him and his family. It's with a heavy heart that I've resigned myself to watching their hard work and livelihood go up in flames. None of this would be happening if mother-in-law had simply chosen to be happy for us and welcome our child into the family with open arms, just as we had welcomed her and her twins. I sincerely hope that they're able to heal from this, but for now, I'll just have to prioritize myself and my child. I don't have time to care about their family drama anymore. Update number 5. I never thought I'd be coming back to update, but since my last post, here I am. I don't know what ended up happening with my former father-in-law's business license, and frankly, I don't care. Jay and his family are dead to me, and they can continue living their picture-perfect life far away from me. I do know that he had to pay a hefty fine, and one of Jay's uncles, whom Jay was never a fan of, has taken over father-in-law's position for now. Overall, I'm more than happy with how my life has gone since exiting the toxic family. I've moved back in with my mom, who loves the company. She's come around to my point of view, given her desire to have a healthy relationship with her grandchildren, which I was so happy to see. The biggest update is that I've since started seeing the soon-to-be father of my child. We connected during a break that Jay and I were on before our engagement, and have since reconnected through a friend of my best friend. I'll be due any day now, and the father of my child will be by my side every step of the way. I'm overjoyed that I'll be able to bring my little bundle of joy into a complete family with a mother and a father who will love them unconditionally. So, thank you to those who commented on and interacted with my post positively, and to those of you who DM'd me support and my choices despite the onslaught of hate and ridicule from other commenters. It means more to me than I could ever express. I hope that each of you was able to find a happy ending that I know we all deserve. Top comments from the original post and all the updates. Comment number 1. I'm just glad everything worked out for you in the end. I know I'm going to get attacked from commenters into oblivion, but I don't care. You clearly have so much love in your heart for your family and your unborn child, and you just want to create the best possible life for them. I completely empathize as someone who grew up in a broken home with parents who were constantly at war with each other. I wish that my mother had done what you tried to do. Lord knows we would have had a better life today if she did. All the love and light to you and your kid. May your little family find peace away from the mess in your past, and may your relationship with your partner grow stronger every day. Comment number 2. I don't even know what to say. I mean, lady, you're crazy. This is what they say, don't stick your something in crazy. Did you report his father to the authorities? You might have gotten this man's livelihood taken away. I mean, a man with 2 young children that you claim to love and want the best for, like, holy hell, you're insane. I don't even want to get into the fact that you convinced a doctor to falsify test results so that you could, get your ex-mother-in-law thrown out. Like, what was even the goal there? Not even getting into the ethics of a doctor actually going through with what he did. The fact that you're trying to frame it as a betrayal of your trust is unhinged. I actually don't know how to react. Like, this can't be real, right? Please tell me that this type of crazy isn't just roaming the streets and procreating. God help your child. Get some help? OP. Okay, so what we just had revealed to us in these last 2 comments that we reviewed are completely opposite opinions. The very first comment is basically 100% in the backing of OP. The second comment said OP is a crazy lady. I mean, everything that she did, from the faking of the documents to getting the doctor friend to help, it just all led to pure toxicness. But I want to know, do you guys think that maybe it was justified given the mother-in-law's attitude throughout the whole story, and OP just wanted some sort of revenge? I want to know your thoughts about that. So go ahead, drop it down below in our comment section, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. My name is Mr. Reddit, and I narrate these sorts of stories every single day. So if you want to be a part of these, all you have to do is subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And just remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.